Hello. Welcome to Wise Up on Air. Audio? It's working? Yeah? Yeah? Okay, I see the meters bouncing. This is what we do, right? We are interactive audio professionals, and you're joining us here today on Wise Up on Air. We have a super packed show for y'all today. Thanks for showing up in the chat room. Good to see everyone. James Nixon. It's getting to be bedtime here in Seattle, I bet. And Masa over in Japan. Good to see you in the chat. PDX, West Coast represent. Hey, we have a lot of cool stuff in store for you. Some special guests who I'll be introducing here soon. And I'm just going to jump right into it. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about some news here at AK. We got some really fun stuff coming up and want to tip you off to that. We're going to shine the community spotlight on some folks out there in the Wise community doing cool stuff. So sit tight for that. And then we'll bring Imba Interactive to talk about the game No Straight Roads. If you haven't checked it out yet, it is a music-driven gameplay, just full of color, full of fun, full of great sounds. So stick around for that. Without further ado, can you still hear me? This is crazy. Like, it worked. First time out of the gate. We must be getting pretty good at this. So thanks for coming and thanks for sticking around. First up, news. We are hiring here at Audiokinetic. Come join our team. We got a lot of stuff to do and a lot of exciting things that we want to pull off. We're looking for a senior market business analyst, someone to help us get our heads around some data. If you've been participating in surveys this year, as we've been asking questions about features from 2019.2 or questions about our website and what we do here, we're looking for someone to help us gather that data and bring it to the development team and help fuel the work that we're doing here. Speaking of that work, we're looking for technical writer to help us continue to evolve the documentation and educational materials that we have here, as well as a whole batch of deep technical engineers, programmers, C++, C#, someone for our integrations team, someone for the innovation team. If you have some skills, you have some passion for interactive audio, or if you know someone who's interested, point them to our careers page, and we'd love to talk to them. We got a lot of cool stuff to pull off, and we're looking for some help. So definitely line up. The next thing I want to talk about, our community Q&A has been doing a great job of fielding questions from the Audiokinetic community. If you haven't been to the community Q&A, you can grab it right here on the website. And this is a place really where you can ask questions and the community has an opportunity to contribute to problems you might be having. Maybe you can help someone solve a problem that they're having, something that you've experienced in the past and can give some feedback or information on. And meanwhile, here's a great one about integrating a secondary output in Wise. If you work with audio devices or you're working with multiple platforms, there was a great Q&A exchange here just recently I wanted to point out. Someone had some deep experience with integration, and Mads Meretti on our education team was able to lend a hand with some suggestions. Again, great thread and just one of many. So check out the Wise Community Q&A. Definitely a place to go for answers if you're looking for insight into problems that people have had, or if you're having your own problems. Let us know. Next big news, exciting. We have got a Wise tour planned for you. So I'd like to see if anyone in the chat room has been to a Wise tour in the past. Historically, this is a in-person We take it around the world. We were here in Seattle last fall. We've been in Poland talking to CD Projekt Red. We've had the Overwatch team talking, playing by sound. Got a couple folks there in the chat who've been. So usually we'd take that on the road and drop in at different locations. And this year it's going online. So we're super excited to announce the first in our series of Wwise tours focused on sound as storytelling. We're planning on bringing MiHoYo to present on Genshin Impact, if any of the folks out there have played that game. Incredible RPG, action, just really ticks all the boxes when it comes to that kind of experience. Along with Sucker Punch, who's going to be presenting on Ghost of Tsushima. So I don't know about y'all, but I've been in that. It is beautiful, beautiful looking and beautiful sounding. I play with Kurosawa mode myself because I like that retro vibe and how they've modified the sound in order to fit that aesthetic. I just think it's brilliant on so many levels, and we're extremely happy to have those two teams presenting. We're going to follow that up with a panel at the end that will go a little bit deeper on this, and we're bringing up a bunch of folks from different aspects and diverse corners of the interactive audio industry to then just kind of wind down the tour in a casual conversation around this idea of sound as a storytelling. So we're looking forward to having you join us on that. That's coming up December 2nd, so it's just a couple weeks away. We're going to be live streaming that here on Twitch and YouTube. It's a no-cost event. Please show up. We want to share this knowledge with you. And then we will be having that accessible after the live stream. So don't worry if you can't make it. That'll be from 4 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And there's a registration page on the Audiokinetic website for the Wwise tour. We'll have the link in the chat and online later. But get registered, we'll give you a ping, and we look forward to seeing you there. The last thing that I wanted to mention is the Wwise 21.1 beta. So the next full version of Wwise will be coming out early next year, and we're just kind of wrapping it up in a tiny little ball right now, and we'll have an early access beta available for you to register for that'll be distributed through the launcher. And you can get your hands on an early version of Wwise. You can see the changes that we've made to surface audio objects and the routing through the master mixer hierarchy. We've got some cool spatial audio features if you've been digging into that. We're bringing even more visibility to the profiling views for spatial audio. And just a whole host of other features that you can look forward to messing around with. So we'll have some links out on the socials for you to get registered for that, along with a tip-off to it at the Wwise tour on December 2nd. And so, yeah, lots happening here at Audiokinetic. It feels like the year-end, everything rapidly accelerating towards the turn of the calendar. And I hope everyone is finding a way to find their calm amidst all of the world events happening and can come into a smooth landing at the end of this year. It's been quite a year, so excited to share all this fun stuff here at Audiokinetic, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Speaking of seeing you, boy, from where I'm sitting, the view is great. We have so many folks in our community doing such a great job to knowledge share and educate. It's just a pleasure to take in what people are serving up to the community. And I just wanted to share a few things with you. The first one is a series of what I did and how it's done with Wwise. This series goes into different aspects of authoring. The episode one here was on single event stingers, or just other pieces of it. And I really like how personable and well thought out and well put together these are. Additionally, Tzvi Sherman put together a redesign of the Unity project demo and talks through the entire process. I really seeing the choices that he made, seeing the way that it's implemented, is just a really well packaged presentation, to the point of building in these little gameplay details that interact with the audio to such a deep degree. I really recommend it. Next up was John Tennant talking about driving VFX with audio. So he's in Unreal 4, he's using the sound of sparks and this crazy plasma engine, and he's driving the visual effects from the sounds in Wwise. He's using a meter, he's outputting that, and using that to drive the visual side of things. A great deep dive into that, and actually not that deep. It's really just nuts and bolts, basic Wwise functionality, basic game parameters, and again, working within the Unreal Engine and blueprints. He lays out a really smooth path to driving visuals with sound. And I think when we start to talk about that two-way street of audio driving visuals, you know what we're talking about here in a minute, driving gameplay with sound. So it's a really cool introduction to that. Lastly, Frederik has a whole run through here of using Wwise as a sound generator for linear media. Like, why would you do that? Well, maybe you want to just generate a bunch of random variations super quick to dance on your timeline over in Reaper. You need a bunch of gunshots, you need a bunch of explosions, and Frederik steps through that process in detail to help you land at a place where you've got a whole list of random variations to sprinkle throughout your linear design. And again, like as a tool for generating that kind of content, if you're familiar with Wwise, you're already living in that environment, it kind of makes sense. It's a great tool for that. So with that, I want to introduce our friends from Imba Interactive. Welcome.
Oh,
to Wwise Up On Air.
hi.
Such a great transition. I love it. Good to see your smiling faces, and thanks for waiting in the wings while we got some of that housekeeping out of the way. It's almost like you have party confetti in the background, Alex.
Oh no, it's one of the bosses from No Straight Roads.
Awesome.
Oh, it's the font is mirrored. Oops.
Cool. So I would ask you to introduce yourselves briefly. Say your name and let us know what you do at Imba.
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. First of all, thanks Damien and the rest of AK for hosting us. And a lot of you, I know it's pretty late, like 10 p.m. plus. And for us, it's good morning, everyone. So thanks so much for having us. I'm Gwen. I'm the co-founder and creative director at Imba Interactive. And down here, we have Alex.
Yes. I do technical sound design for Imba Interactive. Yeah.
So let's work backward. Imba
Yes.
Interactive is... how many are you there?
There's a total of 5 full-timers.
Gotcha. And this is a group. Are you all? Do you have a physical location? Are you co-located?
We used to have a physical location. We still do. We're still paying rent for it. That was pre-COVID, and now because of COVID, we're all working from home. So the interesting thing is that our studio is in Jeremy's house. Jeremy is our co-founder. He's in the Twitch chat right now. So going to office every day is like going to his house. So it's great.
Cool. So a little clubhouse during normal times, but now you're all kind of flung back. And so let's step back from that. How did you all meet? How did you all find each other to form this powerhouse of game audio implementation and sound and music?
Okay, so the story of Imba started way back, I think like 7, 8 years ago. I think me, Sharon, and Jeremy, we were part of this incubation program called the Singapore MIT Gambit Game Lab. So back then, it was a 2-month incubation program for game developers, for Singaporean students to work with MIT research goals. So we were supposed to develop prototypes over 2 months based on the research goals. Really, really good experience. That's how we all met as an audio team. So after that, I think time has passed. And I think when we were ready to come out and have a career in game audio, 3 of us were pretty much freelancing. But we were also friends. At that point of time, I think game audio was still in its infancy in Singapore. And we didn't like the idea of having to hustle in a country that's already so small. So for those of you who don't know Singapore, right? Singapore is like super small. Like, how do I describe it? You can drive from one end to the other in like 1 hour, 1.5 hours, east to west. Yeah, that's how that's how small it is. So I think we didn't see sense in trying to like hustle and like cut each other down. So we decided to form this company together and really promote game audio as a career, game audio as a discipline in the country and beyond, like within Southeast Asia. So that's how we pretty much started. This was in 2013. And 3 of us, we grew up loving games a lot. And 3 of us are musicians as well. So I think the transition was quite natural for us. Yeah, that's pretty much how we started.
Well, and that's a great way to approach that, and I'm sure you each bring a kind of special skill set to the team dynamic, kind of like an Avengers, hero team up. So you have the implementation or the music or the sound, maybe the person who's really into creatures or UI, and so I think approaching it that way and growing through your all's experience feels like a great way to be a team. And then I think one of the things that I'm latching onto there was just this idea of game audio and the need for advocacy, that we're always trying to bring developers into the story of sound, and that takes effort, right? Concentrated effort sometimes. So having a distributed team, I can imagine how that ends up working out well.
Yeah, I mean, when we first started out, it was quite lonely, to be honest. It was just like 3 of us, plus other folks who are doing game audio but not full time. So there's just a few of us, and then as we grew, we had to give talks. We had to teach at schools because I think a lot of the devs there also were unfamiliar with game audio to begin with. So the advocacy and education was really, really important to uplift the whole industry. So in that sense, I think things got slightly better, and we often sit down with devs and talk through with them what are the middleware options available. Doing game audio is not just passing you assets and that's it, so there is a really end-to-end solution right there. And then down the road, we started to hire, and then we hired Bings and Alex, and each of them have their own specialties as well. For example, Alex right here, he's he studied in Sonic Arts in Republic Polytechnic in Singapore, and then subsequently he went to pursue game design in DigiPen. So we felt that there was a really good combination of skills.
Yeah.
DigiPen
in Singapore.
In Singapore. So there was no music. There's no music degree. The audio degrees do not exist in Singapore. So I just basically picked it up, and I sought permission from some of the lecturers to do some I started with Fmod integration, and then I moved on to doing Wise towards my last year.
Right. Well, we have a DigiPen here in Seattle as well, and I know a lot of the educators there, and certainly their program encompasses all the disciplines of game design. And so I can imagine, sitting in that chair as a student, taking in that all-encompassing game development understanding really helps give you insight on on the focus of audio and where it can be effective and tie in. And I know we're going to hear a lot about that intersection between gameplay and sound. And so I can already imagine how that inspired you at school. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did. Actually, my main goal, right? Before I started going into Japan, I was playing this game called Transistor.
Yeah.
And it had really cool interactive music. When you press the button, she starts singing. Yeah, and I wanted to copy that. I wanted to try to do something similar to that. And then so that was like my main goal when I went to study.
Yeah.
And then I did more stuff after that. Yeah.
That's the singing sword, right?
No, it's when I think she starts humming when you press a button.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, great games from great studios. That was Super Massive, right? Or Super Giant?
Super Giant.
Yeah, there we go. Super duper. Cool. Well, let's transition over to talking about a recent title that you worked on, and that's No Straight Roads. I'm excited to hear more about that. Why don't you give us a little intro to it for folks who haven't heard of it or haven't tried it?
Yeah, sure. So, introduction to No Straight Roads is that, as Damien mentioned just now, it's a very colorful game. It's full of high action, but ultimately it's an action game in a music-driven world. It is not a rhythm game, although some aspects of it, you do get certain perks if you do follow the rhythm. But otherwise, if you just play as a normal action game, you can breeze through the game quite well. So, it's a story about. Let me just go through the slides quickly.
Sure.
Yes, it's a story about this band called Mayday and Zuke. It's called Bang Bit Junction. Mayday is very, very spunky. She's the lead guitarist and she's really excitable, very aggressive. And Zuke is just super chill and he's the drummer. So I don't know if anybody of you here have some equivalent in your own band, but they formed this band called Bang Bit Junction and they represent rock. And this whole game is about the battle to taking over the EDM empire.
Yeah.
The EDM empire it's called No Straight Roads, right? So, I mean, this game is all about boss battles. Think of a Shadow of Colossus. So massive bosses, you just play through the bosses. Each boss represents its own genre, right? So, these are the examples of the bosses. And each of them represent genres that you may or may not have heard yourselves. The composers did a fantastic job on naming the genres as well and doing the music for it. So let me just give you a rundown on the core team. So the core team behind it is myself as audio director, Jeremy and Sharon, who are both in the Twitch chat right now, Alex and Bings. So that's the core team plus our audio production support. And then we have the composers, with Falk being the music director, and then we have Funk Fiction, Andy Tonsal, James Landino, all great people, great names, great music. If you haven't heard of their stuff, please go and hear. It's like they are really awesome. They came together because of Sonic fan music, so of course. So, and then additional composers, Alki-san, Clyde, Asamat, and Roborock. So these are the people behind it, and I think now we can just head on to the trailer.
Awesome. That's my job here, and I am spinning it.
The age of rock is over.
That's where you're wrong. The power of rock is stronger than ever. Yes!
A band called Bang Bit Junction has been slowly claiming our districts.
We need to take action.
But there's nothing we can do about it.
There's always something we can do, Zuke. We're not stopping till we claim our fate.
And bring change to the system.
Yeah, that's it.
See that X? It means you're done.
Oh, yeah? Well, how about you take all these X's and shove them up your... First, they rejected us. Then, they denied our right to rock out. This is wrong.
I hate to say this, but I think you might be onto something.
We're gonna rock onwards with all that we've got. Are you with me?
to the very end, May.
We fight for the little guys!
Noise.
Wow,
Love the bell.
I am on TV!
Nice.
Yes.
So many
Yes.
great opportunities for the intersection of sound, music, and gameplay in that, like the high fives. It's going to be great. I can't wait to hear more about it.
Yeah. So this game was developed by Metronomic, a studio based in Malaysia. Their founder is CEO Wan Hasmir, who used to be the lead designer of Final Fantasy 15. And also the co-founder is Daim, who was the concept artist for Street Fighter 4. So great team, a lot of really talented people in there. They really love rhythm games in general. So when they wanted to make a game, a rhythm-based game that even non-rhythm game players can play, I thought, it's a great opportunity for us to hop on and see how we can explore that. So I think for those of you who watched the trailer, you noticed that Mayday is all about hijacking a concert. So this is the key word that binds all of our direction for sound, and in fact for a lot of the rest of the team. When you talk about hijacking a concert, it means that when the bosses are playing their music, Bang Bit Junction basically goes in and tries to steal the limelight away. So that's the main basis of how the battle goes. When we think about that, we think about disruption versus cohesion. I think these are one of the main challenges for us as the sound team. Like, how do we make something sound disruptive but still aesthetically pleasing and it sounds like it's meant to happen? So there are 2 points that we explored. One is rhythm. So I think, as I mentioned, it's an action game. So the players' combat actions as effects and their animations and stuff, they don't have to be in sync with the music. There is one feature that if you're in sync with the music, you get extra bonus damage, which is the parry mechanic. So when you play the game, you'll find that once in a while, the enemies will throw out a parry projectile, and you can parry that on the beat and they'll get extra damage. Otherwise, you can just play as per normal without following the music. But everything else in sync. So the boss actions, the environment, they all move with the music, and that makes it more cohesive in that sense. And when we talk about tonality, the players' actions are consistent with their rock persona. So they will always play rock. Everything that they play is rock. Whereas for the bosses, it's always their specified genre of EDM. And that goes with the sound effects that are signature to that boss level as well.
That's fantastic. And I can't wait to hear more about, how you hooked up everything to be in sync across all those different disciplines, animation, models, gameplay. I look forward to hearing more about that.
Definitely. Okay, so since Falk is not here, I will speak on his behalf. I wish he was here though. So I think in terms of music direction, right, how he's broken it down is that this game comes with 3 major kind of genres. One is the bass version, which is the version that represents the bosses on the personal level. One is the EDM version, which represents their artistry and role within the No Straight Roads kind of organization. And the rock version represents Bang Bit Junction's interpretation of the track. So what Falk does first is that he comes up with the bass version, and we go back and forth and iterate it as we really communicate quite closely with the game designers. And because music has to come first, right? We had to work from early concept art and the script. So this is very much like a linear media where we got to make sure that the music is as time locked as much as possible so that the visuals can follow it. If not, when there's a lot of back and forth, then it is better to change the visuals in that sense than do a complete recomposition of the track, because the music track is really time sensitive in that sense. So once we lock the BPM, the structure, and the lengths, then they will go on to compose the EDM and the rock version.
And does that mean you're getting the tracks that Falk is creating into the game as soon as possible once he's composed them? Or are you doing more linear storyboarding? Like, what's the process there?
So I think the designers would have done a rough design of the whole level in UE first, right? as well as the basic script, and then the music has to come in early on, and then they tweak the game design based on the music.
Cool. And you're able to put those early tracks from Folk into the engine, have it working with those prototypes. So the designers are just working with that early music, and then evolving towards that finalized locked BPM music mix.
Yep.
Cool.
I think it's quite unique that we have to do it this way because compared to I think other games where the music can come in a little bit later.
Yeah.
This one has to come in like almost like at the start already of the design process.
It's great.
So like the draft needs to come in like when when the level is done, when the bosses are the visuals are kind of done already.
Yeah.
So that they can start planning all the moves and the attacks for all these things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with that, let me see if you can see this. Let me try the magical magnify tool.
Ooh.
There you go. Oh, but the resolution is still pretty bad.
That's okay.
Yeah, you gotta move your
okay.
mouse slower so you can catch it. Yeah.
It looks
Okay,
great.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So Falk came up with this thing called the music scratch sheet. It's a temporary sheet for us to kind of reference. So this sheet is used for the composers, the game designers, as well as us. And what it tells us, the information is it tells us the WiDHiD, which is important, and we'll specify why later, as well as the BPM, how many bars, how many seconds, the brief description. And also, later we'll talk a bit more about it, the kind of parameters that are affected that will change the music along the way.
Great.
So this kind of scratch sheet was super duper important for us.
Yeah, well, spreadsheets of game audio. It's totally a hashtag.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
a real thing. Like one of the best tools in the toolbox sometimes. Nice.
Yep. Definitely. Okay, so now, just a little bit of information about how the designers got the patterns down. So once we have the music, actually he puts the music through Osu and then maps the beats there. So it's a visual tool for the designers to understand, because not everybody in the team is musically inclined, and that's fair, right? We're all game developers here. So yeah, the Osu tool is used really as an easy way for people to one glance I can tell, when is this attack supposed to come in? So after that, he passes the Osu file to the programmers, and the programmers will punch in the numbers into something that they came up with, which is a music macro system. So the music macro system is an internal clock within UE that counts the bars and the beats of the music. So it's based on punching numbers in. So that's what I mean by the numbers from Osu are then punched into the music macro system. And then where we come in is we also use the music macro system to do things like sound effects, especially for the attacks that come in.
So it's basically just an Unreal metronome that everything can clock off of. You can hang sounds, you can hang animations, whatever you need to trigger based on that macro system.
Yes, I think it's in a way it's more of like it has a timer, right?
Okay.
And then it needs a specified length of the whole track so that it can, once it's done, it goes back to 0, and then it follows the Wise timing of a certain file, which we give them for No Straight Roads we use the silence file, so we added one more track at the bottom of
Got it.
the interactive music hierarchy, so that we give them this particular silence ID, because this track will always be playing, regardless of all the switches, because when the interactive music switches around, the IDs change. So that was the kind of problem we had when they were designing the stuff. So we need it to be on a separate track that moves like consistently so that so they can track the timing from there.
Awesome. That's an awesome awesome workaround and workflow for that. Cool.
I think there's some I think depending on BPM, there could be some issues with like frame rate versus speed of the bar and the beat number and all that.
Yeah.
So the game really needs to catch some of these, which I think it took some time to get around as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
all towards trying to unlock that synchronicity, though, across
Yes.
all the disciplines. Totally. Cool. And Osu is a tool from Metronomic that, again, like you said, just translates those beat maps into some visual format that could be punched in to drive the music macro system.
Also, it's not. Also is developed by I forgot it's a rhythm game from this person called Dean Herbert or something. Yeah, Dean Herbert.
Okay.
It's basically like those rhythm games. It's a rhythm game primarily.
Gotcha.
You can put in your own songs and custom beat maps and your own game design over it.
Okay.
Your own levels over it. So I think basically
Cool.
what Haz was using it for is just to export out values of things that happen in his level.
Yeah.
In just time locked to the.
Yeah, it's essentially using a level designer meant for the original game as a visual tool for our game.
Yes.
Excellent. And that's the beauty of where we're at in game development now, is that we have this rich history of games as examples and tools even to support those games. People writing their own beats for Rock Band or any of these other rhythm-based games. There's just it's a rich genre, shall we say. So great.
Yes.
Thanks for explaining that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so just now I mentioned there were three main genres: bass, wops, and rock. But within these three genres, they are even more broken down into three layers: melody, rhythm, and backing. So the whole game in the boss gameplay is just about transitioning between each of these in a very seamless manner that makes sense for the given parameters of that boss. So let me just hop onto Wise and show you what it's like.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so this is our Wise session. Welcome to where we've been spending 2 years in. It's like home.
I think you may need to magnify some stuff. I think.
Yeah, I feel so snug and cozy just looking at this.
I know, dark mode
Session.
enabled, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah, so let me begin by saying that every boss is separated into phases. So very much like any kind of boss battle, right? You have different phases. Phase 1, and then they do this massive transformation. That's the transition. Then phase 2, another massive transformation. Phase 3, and then massive transformation. And then phase 4, finally, most of the time, they are ready to get beaten. So we have phases on a sort of horizontal scale. And then in the vertical scale, we have all the layers which I talked about, massive layers. So every single boss music track in this game has like this amount of layers. Like I want to cry, but but I mean the end product is amazing. So this is.
And they're not
Sorry.
playing all at once. These are layers that are constantly being dynamically mixed based on the gameplay that's happening. Again, the interaction between the boss wubs and the band's rock, over the base layer pieces that are, shifting underneath.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me first demonstrate that. My switches are here. Yeah, can hear it? Awesome. So this is the awesome bass layer. And let me just change any one of these. And you can hear the change. So you pretty much get the gist, and it's I think it's a lot of layers, but the end product is really, really good. It gives us so much flexibility when it comes to the different bosses, gameplay and stuff. So how we did it was really just switch layers here, and they are, yeah, there you go. So each track we kind of define using a switch.
Yep.
The music backing, music melody, music rhythm, and then yep, that's how we split it up. And these are the subtracks. Yay for subtracks. Woohoo!
Totally.
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic. And what you end up with is you end up with this mashup. And what defines whether you got more wubs or more rock? Like,
We'll talk about that later.
Great,
like
okay.
every single boss level has like a different parameter
driving
to
it.
go
Excellent,
towards.
excellent.
Yeah.
And so this is the base of the music system. And again, the three pieces that you talked about: rhythm, melody, and backing.
Backing.
Right. Got it.
Yep. And all the different genres are inside. Let me see if I can do massive zoom. There you go. Bass, rock, wubs. Bass, rock, wubs.
Yeah.
You know. Yep.
Fantastic.
Yep. And as Alex mentioned just now, everything has a silent track, just to keep the clock going.
Just to
Keep the
keep
clock
the
going,
clock
yeah.
ticking. Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
And we'll come back to
Okay.
those custom cue markers as well for Scratch.
Okay. So the custom cue markers, actually, I'm not using it the way it's intended. I'm using it for my reference, actually, because I'm using it as like almost like DAW marker. So let me just zoom in again. There you go. Yep. So because in the game, right, the attacks happen at specific moments, and I'm using the markers as a way to help me keep track of when the exact attacks happen. Because in the earlier tracks, so DJSS is track 1, the first boss.
Gotcha.
Right. They have this option to have audio cues. So the audio cues is kind of like a guide for them.
Got it.
see.
Okay.
Yeah, can't wait for it.
Yeah, if you hear those clicks. Yeah. So these clicks are just meant to be like precursors for people who are new to the rhythm games genre to actually preempt the next attack. So that's why I use these as markers to help me get the cues going.
Excellent.
Yeah, because we have like how many, like the first boss already has 4 phases and we need to already plan for 4 of these.
Yeah.
And then some other bosses have like 6 phases. You gotta
Yeah.
5, I think 5. It's just like
Yeah.
it's a lot of things to remember. So I think the markers help out a lot.
Yeah. I think I have markers for all of them, all the
Yeah.
phases, pretty much. Yeah, the giant clap, asteroid orbit, all these stuff. Yeah. So okay, now that you get the concept of the different layers that are involved, so we are talking about the 3 genres: WAP, bass, and rock, and also rhythm, backing, and melody. Right. Let's see how it translates into UE. So I will hand over to Alex for that.
Okay, actually, I've been using something called a blueprint function library, which essentially is like it's like this list of static functions that we can use to call certain changes. So when we first started working on this project, I came in midway through the first level that they were working on. Gwen, do you remember which one? Like, remember
Mother and
how long
Child.
were you how long were you into production when I came in?
I think the first level we worked on was Mother and Child, actually.
Yeah. How long were you all working for them already? Like at that period?
I can't remember, man. Seems so long ago.
Yeah, seems so long ago. Okay, so so when I came in, I noticed that like we were writing down the switch changes for every single phase, every single thing. Like, and there was so many. It was prone to errors, I think. So like if you were typing too quickly or you copy paste too quickly, and then you might make a mistake here and there. So I decided to make everything a static function first. So like we have a drop down menu for what phase we are in and what switch we're going to use. So yeah, and so in the end result was to make functions like yes, thanks Gwen. So basically to make it in a way that we do not have to keep typing out every single thing.
And by the
Yes, so
time you arrived, they had nailed down this expectation of phases and cinematics. You'd already mapped out those different things, so you could just push those into a place where these static libraries where they could just be picked from the radio button.
Yes, it's just I think it was really like just right click and then type like something like BFL audio and all these come out.
Nice.
So it was quite useful for all of us. Yeah.
That's great.
I think when I came in, there was already a boss, and I think we already had 4 phases or 3 phases already, and there were some cinematic transitions. So yeah, it was quite. I think I was doing this method of typing each one out first, and then I realized, this is not the way.
And that's good tools design, right? That's seeing a repeatability and executing on making it better. Nice.
Yes. Okay, we can move to how certain bosses do So every boss has their own like parameters and things that need to happen. So most of these are quite straightforward. We can just read events that happen in the game and then check. Okay, let me recap this. So before we start each boss fight, you can select the style of how the boss will run, like which genre you want to hear, or you want to play it the way the game intended you to play it in this default mode. So in the default mode, we can the music genres will change as and when certain conditions happen. So for example, it could be stuff like health, or I think one interesting one would be the mother and child one, because it changes to rock when the mother's shielding the child, and the spotlight will go on, will like the lights will dim and there's a spotlight there, and then it transitions very nicely with the rock transitions. And I think for most of them it's mostly health percentages, so we usually check damage, check health remaining, and then cue in all the music changes immediately. And by immediately I mean like it'll wait for the nearest bar to change the genre.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Cool. And so
because the when we talk about the health being affected, right? Usually most of the time, for most of the bosses, it's about rock taking over the base version, because the base version is who they are, and then the rock represents Bangbed Junction kind of winning the fight. So as the health of the boss goes down, you can start to hear more rock layers. But there are special cases like Eve and Tatiana, which we show the video soon, that's where we bring in the EDM stems, where if you change the character, you switch between Mayday and Zuke, because this game can be played as both a single player and a double player game. So in the case of a single player, right, you kind of have to switch characters quite often to bring out the best of their skills for the particular situation. So when you switch between them, you can hear that it changes. And thematically, it makes sense as well, because spoiler alert, Eve, it has a very close relationship to Zuke. So Zuke feels a little bit more gentler towards her, whereas Mayday really, really hates Eve, because Eve is Zuke's ex-girlfriend. So
now you're really spilling the tea here. So
spoilers.
I think the EDM one was more aggressive. The music was really it was really aggressive, so you could really hear it when you change characters. Yeah.
So Damien, you want to play the Eve video?
It's great. Here it rolls. awesome. And I'm, so much cool happening in there. Of course, I'm listening to the music as it progresses through the bass layer to rock. I'm seeing, the VFX happening at the same time, explosions in timed with the music. There's the cannon that fires, and again, beat synced. There's just so much happening there, and it's all in sync with the tempo of the music. It's incredible.
Yeah, so like from the example of this video, right, you notice that the genres switch completely between Mayday and the boss health reaches below 50%, only the backing changes to rock. So that rock represents them winning the boss. Right. And as the health reaches to less than 25%, then everything else changes to rock. So that's the kind of movement that we have. Yeah. So for Tatiana is the other way around. It's most of them is rock taking over EDM. But for Tatiana, because she's the final boss, is EDM taking over rock. Because, we want to show the players that, she's not easy fight, like she's really trying to overshadow you as well. So let's play the Tatiana video.
Here it goes.
It's Python! Python!
Leave this to me!
Python! Python!
Don't stick up!
Start hot and ready!
Leave this to me.
Right. And that's frantic. Like, so much going on. And the music just amps that whole scene up. It's awesome. Nice work.
Yeah. So if you notice, like there was a particular stem that was called ignore. So that stem is ignored because it's reserved for things like health changes and stuff. So I think if you take a look at let me see. Yeah, this previous music switch change, right? Actually, there is an option to ignore. So it makes things very easy for us when we implement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Fantastic.
so let me see. Oh yeah, the next topic that I want to talk about is actually this thing called the circle of influence. It's it's a very fancy name. So just now, if you saw me like browsing through all the different stems, right, you notice that there's this thing called COI. Let me just it's called COI, Circle of Influence. So this is actually if you hold down a particular button in the game, Mayday or Zuke will perform this solo over the music that will do stuff like activate props. So Damien, you want to show them the video
Here it
about
goes.
the COI?
Let's roll. Cool. And, I just got to say, like, having those notes bounce across the world and having that, like, be in sync with the music, it sounds so simple, but is so effective. And then you couple that with, and Zuke is the drummer, so he's getting that drum solo. He's getting the spotlight on that. And then Mayday on the guitars, right?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep, definitely. I can. I think the video already showed you what it's like in Wise, but I can
Yep.
show you in Wise itself. Let's just play. Let's try a different track this time. Maybe we'll check out Mother and Child, because that was the track that we had. Let's try phase 3. Okay, so this is the track. This is the COI. Oh, there's some crazy riff. Yeah, so I think as shown in the video just now, we have a few RTPC. So this one's the one that brings it up. And then by extension, I think, yeah, the melody goes down when the COI is active, and then the rhythm goes down when Zuke COI is active. So yeah, because I think truth be told, mixing for this game was pretty challenging, because the music is it needs to be so upfront, and yet it's an action game. So we had to make a lot of choices on whether we want to focus more on the sound effects at the point of time or the music. And so we had to do quite a bit of ducking and mixing going on right there.
Yeah, again, music in the front. You've got all this other stuff happening, and I'm wondering from a compositional standpoint, were they taking into consideration the fact that these other sounds would be like instrumentation right alongside the guitars, right alongside the drums? You also have the percussionness of the explosions, or even those notes as they bounce across the floor. That is akin to, just another percussion instrument in the soundtrack. So were they accommodating for that during the composition process, or did it just kind of come down to finding the right mix and balance at the end for you?
It depends on both. Honestly, it depends on the deadline of the milestone. Sorry, it's a very realistic answer, but I think the earlier stages when we had a lot more time, right? Yeah, it's definitely what we did. And in fact, it was the composers that sometimes contributed to the design ideas of when the object should fall as well.
Cool,
right?
cool.
So that was really, really useful. And I think as more layers came in, and like the EDM layers and remixes and stuff, then we had to rethink a bit on how to mix it in such a way that it's cohesive.
Yeah. Well, it's sounding great. It's a great sounding game, and with so much going on all the time, I can imagine it being quite a challenge.
Yeah, it really was. And
I think early stages, right? They gave us music to. When we had music in the early stages, you can tell maybe we have more time to do, we can keep things in tune, we can keep things in time. Then towards I think when we had to rush, some of these sounds will be less tonal or less with the music, but more I think more in fitting with the boss character instead.
Right. Yeah. Well, and this is really that coupling of traditional game design, where a game designer designs the game, right? I guess that's their title. And a composer who is really, in some ways, just as much designing the game through their choices of, like you said, rhythm and melody. When things are happening, how often they're happening. This is a driver. This is a design choice that the composer has a role in, and so
it's really cool because Falk is a game designer himself as well as a musician and composer, so I think he really helped out in terms of trying to have that balance. And James Landino himself, one of the composers, he used to work in harmonics as well, so having his feedback was super duper important for us.
Awesome.
So I'm glad that composers are not just treated like composers, you just provide the music and stuff. Absolutely, they need to have a say in the game design choice as well, especially for this game.
And it pays off. It definitely shows through the examples you're giving.
Yeah. So I think another one which is most often overlooked, but what that we're quite proud of is this thing called zero time transitions. So it means that a lot of cutscenes in the game, they wait for the music before transiting, so that the visually it happens on the beat, and that it's very cohesive. So Damien can play the video
Here we go.
on the transition.
And so when you say zero time transmissions, what you're talking about is that as they're flying through space, their arrival is on beat. Is that
the main thing for this? So for context, this is called the approach. It's like a mini platformer level before every boss fight to get people used to the mechanics of the game, right? But there are different gates to go through. So the main thing about the approaches are about crashing through the gates. So it's the crash that has to be on the beat. So
Got it.
yeah, it has to dung 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 dung. You know,
Yep.
so.
And-
Yeah, so that crash is really, really important to happen on the beat. That's why you notice after they activate the prop, it waits
got it?
and then it goes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's a technique where they know when the music is going to arrive at that time, and they put in some kind of either a wait or a time dilation for the animation or the traversal of that space so that it lands on the beat. The crash happens in sync. It's a great technique. Zero time synchronization.
Yeah, we didn't come up with the name, but it
I
sounds
think
cool.
it's like, to make sure that it's always transitions always happen on the
Yeah.
beat. That was the goal. Yeah.
And the other example I'm thinking of in that was a snowboarding game called SSX Tricky. And this was, cruising down the hill. I'm going to hit the jump. I go up and the music all filters, low pass filter on everything. I'm in the air spinning and flipping around. And it knows when I'm going to land. And it will either wait or time dilate in such a way so that when I land, it's on beat. And so it's that, again, zero time synchronization, whatever you want to call it. Just, it feels so good when it happens.
Yep.
And it's all a side effect of that music synchronization.
Yeah, I think it's almost essential in any music game to have this.
Yeah. Cool. Great.
Yeah.
Nice job. You really pulled that off.
Yeah, we tried very hard because this one we had to use the music macro system. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
To kind of. Yeah.
To preempt certain situations, and I think it reads for the near. I think what it does is that it reads the silence file for the nearest available bar. Was it, or was it nearest available beat to get out of? Together, it's like trying to similar to the interactive music thing. It just looks for the nearest thing to get out of.
Yeah, so that's the thing. We have to make sure that whatever's happening in the music macro system, especially music transitions, is also the same as the music transition that's happening in Wise. Because in Wise we have a lot of these transitions, and they gotta be synced up.
Yeah, totally. And there's a comment in the chat about, I can only imagine how much time was needed and attention to detail to pull off these tricks. And really, this is the kind of thing that that you have a lot of capability of out of the box with the tools that you have. And because it's a music-focused game, because that is its core mechanism, it's absolutely worth putting that time and experience into, because it it lands in all the right spots for that type of gameplay. Would you invest this much time in making your FPS sync to the beat? If it had a core music component, you might, right? And the tools are absolutely there to do it. But I think you made the right choice to invest in whatever time it took, because for the kind of game, it's so satisfying.
Yep, definitely. And that's why I feel like, I'm serious when I say that the Y session feels like home. Because we've been spending a lot of time on the Y session and the UE, and also bouncing back and forth with Falk as well as Hasmir, to get this right. It's always about the feel, because again, not everybody on the team is musically inclined, and sometimes it requires like us or Falk or Has to really push for this feature.
Totally. Well, back to that advocacy thing, right? We have to
fight for it.
We have to advocate for it. Yeah. We have to share our understanding with people in a way that surfaces that understanding.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Whew.
Cool
Okay.
technique.
Sorry, Damien, you want to say something?
No, I was going to say, I think we're going underground for this next section, aren't we? Into the sewers.
Oh,
not yet.
one more.
Oh, we're going to
One
hit the
more.
K-pop.
Yeah, Kpop.
Okay,
Yeah.
so for those of you
Okay,
following
so-
along in the chat room, at any point, feel free, throw us some questions. We can weave that in interactively. If you've just tuned in, we're talking about music and sound implementation for the game No Straight Roads. I'm here with Imba Interactive. Gwen and Alex are here talking us through the choices that they made. It's great to see some conversation in the chat. And again, feel free to drop us any questions as we go along, and we'll try to clarify things.
I think someone asked something. Was regarding Sayu's actual boss fight. The rail generators are sometimes slow. Is that the wait at work? I think. Wait, let me see. Yes, I think yes, it is. It's so basically, I think when you finish charging up that rail, I think it works similarly to the approach one that you see there. It waits for the nearest bar for you to, or nearest beat for you to get onto the rail and move. Or are you talking about the speed of the rail, actually? If that was a question, then I'm not sure about that one.
Okay, well, we'll wait to see if they circle back for that.
Yeah,
but
okay, yeah, so that's the answer for
definitely
that
could
one,
be
yeah.
part of that. Cool. Thanks for the question. And I was rail charge, they say.
Oh, okay, the rail charge, yeah. Yeah, I think, yes, it waits for the nearest musical opportunity.
Mm-hmm. There it is. I was promised K-pop. Let's hear this. We ready for that?
Okay.
Okay, so K-pop is an interesting level. Obviously, it has like I think 5 handsome robot men, and a leader called NeonJ, and there's a lot of interesting things going with that level. I think Alex will share more a bit about the last phase 4, when
Phase 4, yeah.
when
You could show
NeonJ becomes a robot.
you could show the video of that phase first. There's too much happening, and it's really quite hard to explain it.
Okay.
Even through just this thing.
Okay, I'm rolling the video.
Yeah. Yes.
Leave this to me.
There's a lot
There's a
happening.
lot of things going.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so walk us through
Okay.
that.
So as you notice, every time when the boss finishes a certain move, it spins its roulette thing on the its body. So we have split it up into let me just reconfirm.
8 tracks
8 tracks, yes.
for 4.
For 4 different moves, there are 8 tracks with 2 variations for each attack. So to try to keep things not too similar sounding, but also how to put it, like let me see what's the right word for this.
Different.
It's the same move, but it has the same move and same rhythm, but like I think they changed the melody or something inside it.
Yeah, they changed the different what is it? The instrument, the main instrument that's
It's like
playing.
it's like a variation of the same attack, but using a different instrumentation or something like that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so basically it was quite difficult to keep track because we have to change the music every time the spinning thing is almost done. So first of all, when his body's finished spinning, we need to change. We need to transition to a different track. So what I think we did with Wise was that we used the 32. We put a 32 bar loop at the bottom for the silence tracking. So that's the first thing we did, and there are 8 other tracks that it moves around. So when the boss finishes its attack, the hitbox is done. We transfer to another. We switch out from the attack patterns to something called a neutral state, so that at least if there's any frame rate issue or if there's any other desynchronization issue, it will go back to a long loop, a 32 bar loop of it.
Yep.
And choose the next attack from that 32 bar loop instead of that random choice thing.
Of course.
Yeah. So it's complicated to explain, but I think if can you show the Soundcaster by any chance, Gwen?
Soundcaster.
Yeah.
Okay, let's find it.
Or if you can't, it's fine. Yeah, because it's like this.
Okay, it's on phase 4.
Yeah, it's D1A, D1B, A, B.
There you go.
4A, 4B, and then there's neutral.
Yeah. So the transition for each of these 4 bars, right? Each of these 2 bars, right, is a exit cue. Exit on the exit cue. So it will finish playing the track no matter what. But what we need to make sure is that there's no silence in between. So we got to make sure that the system UE chooses the action before it actually plays. So let me just show you. It's like.
Yeah. So there's an off chance that the robot will not have chosen another move before it's done. I mean, after it's done, it hasn't finished choosing its move. So you go back to a neutral state first, then you can choose the next attack after this bar. Yeah, then it has that little issue.
Yeah, because if you notice, once the track finished playing, right, it's like silence. So we are trying to avoid that.
Yeah, of course. And so in that way, the robot, his attacks, what he's throwing at you is dynamically sequencing the music in that way.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's really DJing the whole thing.
Yeah. He's DJing the whole thing, and even when it's switching around in a lateral sense, right, these are still changing.
Yeah.
The genres are still changing during all this as well.
Okay.
You're neutral, you double played, is it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So it's the same thing when the boss health of the slot machine goes like less and less than below 25%, then it changes to rock. So it's the same behavior throughout all the bosses, including this one. So what was interesting is that one of the challenges we face is after the boss dies, because it's based on choosing their next action. After the boss dies, there's no more action to choose. So we face bugs where like silence because the boss has died. So we had to do another looping one. So this one is pure, random, continuous, just going to cycle through all of them,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, that had to happen.
Yep.
Yep.
Awesome. And again, I think you focus so intently on, the choreography of that boss battle with the sequencing of that music, yeah. I guess we need to figure out what happens when it's over. Yeah.
Sometimes the satisfaction you get when you're like, yes, I've achieved this in Wise, and then when the track ends, there's like silence. Then you're like,
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. We have someone chiming in the chat that they learn the attack pattern just based on the tune. And so,
Oh really?
sound is a way of communicating the different phases or the different tells of the bosses. I think sound is such a powerful communicator in that way.
yeah,
Especially music. Cool.
yes.
What a great example.
Okay. Yes, and now it's time to descend into the sewers.
Aha, this is what I was waiting for. Getting my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on.
Okay, so Alex, you want to talk about this part?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so do we have a video of it first? Like, I think that will really describe everything really well.
Okay, cool.
Yep, I'm rolling it. You ready?
All right. So I think that the main objective of this was to keep it as seamless as possible. So when you switch around to different screens, you don't get an immediate transition.
Yeah.
I think some games do this, especially I think like in my head there's this game I'm thinking of right now. It's like when you move, let's say the menu is looking something like this, but like it could be like a backstage of a theater or something. Then when you go on stage and backstage, the mix changes as you go on
Yeah.
stage or backstage based on that. Yeah. So those kinds of stuff, when you do immediate transitions, I feel like those work really well. I think for this one, I think it's just when you're busy looking through all the menus, you don't want it to completely distract you.
Exactly.
So I thought this was it's much better.
Well, and this is you're explaining it very clearly, and it sounds like a simple choice, right? Like, do I do it immediately or do I give it some time and room to breathe? But that's a very creative decision, right? And one of those things that probably helps keep people in the experience instead of the jarring distraction of flipping back and forth, right?
I think but it could be, the interactions could be cool if it's like what I said just now, is like a different light, like totally different scene.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. But I think this kind, it's like, okay, we are chilling in this place, so all the tracks should wait for the end of each transition. I think this was decided by Fogg?
Yeah, it was decided
by Fogg. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we play like each individual layer, you can hear like there's a entry cue, there's a build up.
Yes. Yep. Yes, I forgot to mention about that. So yes, at the end of the 8 bars, it will play the entry cue. Like it will. So it has that whole
Slide in.
it's that whole like as if it's all happening live kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So nice. So you have that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
So when each one ends, you can hear the slide in kind of indicates a change of. Yes.
It's rad.
Yeah, it's very subtle. It's very subtle, and it's almost like an Easter egg that only if you spend a lot of time in the sewers, which most people do, then you will notice this.
Yeah. It's pretty much bringing to my attention that any future Wise Up on Air is going to need to have some amount of groovy music to dance to, because it's just it feels too good. This is it's a party. I really appreciate you bringing the party to Wise Up on Air.
Yes, always. When it comes to Imba, it's always about party. Okay, so you might notice that, okay, what are these little layers here? Why is it? So all these are actually little trinkets. What do we call them? We call them the music toys. Yeah.
Got it.
So this is an idea from Jeremy, actually. So in the sewers, you can unlock different trophies and props that you can display on your shelf, and each prop represents a boss. So the acronyms here: MNC, Mother and Child; KPR, Kpop Robots; Diva is DIF; CEO is Tatiana. So each of these little layers, right? They are designed specifically for the boss. So let's see. I'm gonna play it with everything up except the final showdown one, and you'll see what I mean.
The thing is, you can use the soundcaster if it's too far away. I think. Is it? I can't see your RTPC from my screen.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to. Okay, use my magical zoom button. Yeah, so all these are controlled by RTPC. I hope nobody's puking, because this thing is moving very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these are controlled by RTPCs. Simple faders, for the volume control. So, yeah, I'm just going to jack it all up, except FIN. Gwen, Kpop, MNC. Okay, so. So it forms these little toys in the background that come up whenever you place the object on your shelf. You can choose to take it off. So it's almost as if people can mute or unmute their own little layers. And then when you finish the whole game, it unlocks a special prop that adds a beat behind. Yeah, so I think you can show the video just for the visual representation.
Great. Rolling.
Hey, when this information just came out, everybody loved the laugh.
Yeah. Because Eve is weird. The laugh represents Eve.
That's pretty cool. I love the way that that's implemented. Again, subtle, but kind of a nice little audio tasty treat, right? Cool.
Yep.
Sound toys in the sewer.
Yeah, because Yeah, because like in the sewers, otherwise it's not as so-called interactive as the other boss levels, and we just wanted to bring the interaction back into the sewers, but not be so overwhelming.
Cool. We had a question come in from Maze in the chat. All of the RTPCs.
Hi, Mace.
Hi, Maze.
Good to see you.
Yeah, I just replied.
Great. So 0 to 100, do you use all of that, or is it just on and off? And Alex already for the win on that it's just an on and off, a linear transition. So good. Thanks for the question. And cool to see that implementation.
Yeah, I mean,
It's just a straightforward thing. It's just if it's there, you can. So when you keep toggling on and off, you can hear it like change volume.
Yeah.
If you catch it at the right time, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel very at home in your Wise project. Very comfy.
so comfortable. Yeah, so I think the next thing I want to talk about is now we are moving on to sound effects. Honestly, this is a huge music game. There's not a lot on sound effects, but we'll try to make it. Okay, so the sound design, right, as mentioned, is really in line with the theme of all the bosses. So a little introduction on the bosses. DJ Subatomic Supernova, DJ SS, is arrogant dude, but and he's so full of himself and he thinks his music's the best, but he's also a DJ, so it means that a lot of the effects and sounds that we've chosen to put there are very analog. Like I imagine there's somebody that's literally behind the turntable, so we use a lot of delays, like nothing fancy, like just any effect that you can find in a DJ setup, we used it in DJ SS. Whereas for Sayu, who represents the otakus, like she's literally being controlled by a bunch of otakus, right, in the game. So a lot of sounds that are in there are very glitchy. They're very sometimes 8-bit, and thematically there's an anime genre called Magical Girl, right?
Yes, it's Maho Shoujo. I think that's the name of the genre.
Yeah, the Magical Girl. So you're talking about Cup Captor Sakura, Sailor Moon, all these are like the magical girl kind of anime. So that's our sound palette for Sayu, right? And then Eve is just weird. So a lot of the sounds in there.
I think Eve was fun to do, I think.
Yeah. A lot of twisted voices. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. I'm just going to go straight in. So actually most of the sound design was done by Alex for Digital Idol, because I don't know, Alex, do you consume a lot of Magical Girl anime?
No, I didn't. I literally I sat down, I looked at different genres of Magical Girl for like a few hours. Then I found one that was pretty nice. Then I just looked at it for a long time. Then I just like, okay, it's all this cheesy transitions and transformations. But back then in that era, I think they used a lot of jazz music instead of like the current this track was more
cute core.
Yeah, cute core, Vocaloid inspired kind of thing. So it's totally different in that regard. But the cheesy stuff, you can still use the cheesy sound effects from there and put them in somewhere else.
I wanted to talk about the sound effects, but I need to show you all the music first, because, right, if you see Alex's background, the lights, right, they're actually light sticks. They're supposed to be representing the otakus dancing to light sticks with the light sticks. What's the dance?
Otage, I think it's the
Otage.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see.
But
Which face?
There is that thing. I don't know how it's done. I just.
Yeah. So in that level, I'm trying to show the crowd, otaku.
Oh.
Crowd. They say, hey.
Oh, okay, yeah. There's one more cool thing I want to show from that, actually, when you're done with it. Let me find the event and I'll let you know what it is.
Yeah.
Yes. Then all the light sticks will just go along with it.
Yeah, so for those of you who have been to anime festivals before, this is a very common thing. You have people chanting in the background. There's like this DJ playing like anime music, and then there'll be otakus just like waving their light sticks up and down. So
Well, the data miners are trying to find the hey sound effect. Oh.
Oh, the hey was us, right? We had to shout hey, right?
Yeah. I don't know if it's the raw file in there, but don't
Yes.
Stop it.
Famous. You're famous. There it is. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So I think Alex did a lot of great sound effects that are just like so fun.
Yeah, I mean, notice some of them are tonal as well, in the same key as the songs.
Yeah.
Yep. Trying to find, it's a voice one that I want to show.
I think the voice one, that one's later, right?
Wait, are we?
Dialogue.
Oh no,
one.
not the lyrics. The one where the reverb unit turns on as she's speaking to the audience.
Yeah.
Alex, did you have a go-to tool for that? A tool that you went to for those kind of sounds? What's your fave?
Mostly I use Massive. I know a lot of people probably use the what was that? Prism, was it? I don't remember what tools most people use. I use Massive, a lot of Massive for this.
Cool.
And I'm using this old synth called Rapture and Zeta.
Sure.
It's from Cakewalk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, Cakewalk.
It's gone. You can't. I don't know if you can get those anymore. It used to be. I think, have you heard this band called Pendulum?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they use that synth. So I was using mostly Massive and Zeta 2, I think.
Gotcha. I'm getting some SFXer vibes, just the randomized 8-bit kind of stuff. But then, of course, you've got so much magic sprinkled on top of that stuff that it really escalates it into something cool.
I think, May's mentioned Tsugi DSP anime.
The anime DSP, yes.
Okay, I did use a little bit of that, but I think it's a bit hard to get the tonal control that like I think you can get off Massive, because you literally press the note that does it. I think it's very hard to get the correct note from the anime DSP.
Sure.
Yes, but some of the action stuff, you can just take that and then mangle it to whatever you want to use it for.
Yeah. But having it pitched to the music, I think, like you're saying, that's the hard part with some sound design tools, where you just get the variation, but it's not tied to that.
Yeah, so I think for most of this level, most of the sound effects have very little variation or none at all, because I think most of them happen on specific points. So I left it as it is.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, a lot of them are like cinematic.
Confusing. Yeah.
And we could get into a discussion about, the value of variations when you have something that's so iconic, and you want it to communicate, with repetition. You want it to be remembered for what it is.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay, Gwen, let me find it. VO.
Yeah, I found it.
You found it?
Already. Yeah, it's
Okay,
right here.
nice. Yeah, I use the time RTPC for that one. So.
Aren't these ones and zeros wonderful? Through them, I can link my feelings with all my fans around the world. Everyone, are you ready?
And then the crowd responds after that. So this one was fun because I didn't want to use the timeline for this, because I was worried that people skip and then I forget something. So I did it purely on this single event. And then
the time modulator function is great.
目の前に広がる0と1、素敵じゃない？左右の気持ちを世界中のファンたちに伝えてくれるの。皆さん、準備はいい？
Yeah, it's more cheesy. It's pretty cheesy.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Way to go. And that just illustrates those different character types and how you aligned the sound palettes to fit, right, across their different personalities. Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Okay, so the next one, Alex, you want to take this?
Okay, this is quite I think.
Is it another one of those we have to show the video first?
Yeah, and most of them I planned it the way you showed the video first.
Okay. Let's talk Zuke's combo
Let's go.
system and rolling it.
Oh, come on! Take this!
All right.
Awesome.
Okay. So it's split up into two. The sounds are separated into a 1 2 1 2. So it's close hi-hat, open hi-hat, close hi-hat, open hi-hat until the last. Let's say if it's a 5-hit combo, on the 4th hit, it will be a drum fill. It'll be either a snare roll or a snare or tom roll before the player presses another button to trigger the crash. So when we're thinking about doing this, I think Jeremy was. Jeremy said like, okay, we should do it like before the thing finishes. We should let people know that it's done and you need to press a different button.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, could you hear me there?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, you press a different button to trigger the finisher. So although you can finish the combo at any time, we just needed a way to tell people, okay, you reached the last hit of this button mashing thing. Because it's quite fast, actually. Like, if you watch the second half of that part, it's like you can just press, and you don't even know when it's finished.
Sure.
So, in addition to the UI, we thought like having the fill sound would be good to indicate that it's done. And how we did it is basically we separate it out into. It's not. I don't think it's done in sequence. It's basically when you start attacking, the game reads the first hit as close hi-hat, and then open, close, open, close, open. And then when it's the last two, regardless of what the cap of the combo is, it's always going to play the fill and the finish.
And you're tracking that incrementally using RTPC or?
No, not because we don't use the Wise sequence because I think we could drop it at any time.
Gotcha.
So if it repeats itself, we need to put a cooldown or something. You need to check when to reset the sequence.
So what was the implementation?
So,
You're mapping snare hi-hat in Unreal?
Yeah. So basically, there's a blueprint that just checks on the weapon combo, just 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, and then when it's but the game always wait, hello?
Still
Yes.
hear you. Froze.
Alex, we can hear you, but you are frozen.
We might have
Alex, come
might
back
have lost
to
him.
us. The magical girl has
Can you
taken
hear me?
him.
Yeah, he's back.
Oh, yes.
Wait,
Yes,
I'm
you're back.
lost.
Yeah, we can hear you, but your video is still frozen. The magical girl has taken him again.
Okay, where was I?
Perfect.
Wait, all right. Is this the right? Okay, yes. So,
Ta-da!
what was
Welcome
I?
back.
Good recovery. Nice job.
Yeah, I think you were talking about how the individual hits were implemented into the game. They were attached to 1 2 3 4 5 6.
Yes, but always when it was about to finish, you always go to last one and I think they called it 8 and 9. So when it's always even when it's hit 4 and 5 on the 5 hit max, it will jump to 8 and 9. It's something like that.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So 8 and 9 is always the fill and crash. And depending on whether it's a 5, 7, or 9 hit combo, it'll exit out to 8 or 9 if you...
When it's the last 2 hits.
Yeah. Great. And that's you just define those as events for the snare and hi-hat.
Yeah, it's two different events. So it's like hit 1 and hit 2, which is basically close and open. Yeah.
Cool.
And fill is random fill and crash is I think it's a random crash, a series of crashes.
Yeah. Effective.
Yes.
And is any of that combo or any of those impacts tied into the master clock, into the metronome, or is that all just freestyle, free jazz?
No, that's freeform.
Okay.
Yeah, it's free jazz.
Yeah, when we first started our journey with No Straight Roads, right, we had a sort of a discussion on whether we wanted the actions to be synced, and we decided not to because it's an action game after all, and we want people to feel the snappiness of their actions rather than like wait on the clock.
Yeah.
And also, I think there's some kind of satisfaction that comes when players sync up to things themselves.
Sure, totally.
So we wanted to keep that magic right there.
Nice. Nice. And again, there's so much synchronicity throughout that you'll be, forgiven for not synchronizing the whole game. Retaining that amount of player control, again, that agency. I think, again, good, smart, creative choice in the context of the game that you're making. Nice.
And also in this Zuke's melee combo system, we intentionally omitted some drum sounds, like for example, just a snare hit, because a snare hit has been reserved for another action of his, like when he shoots projectiles. So we didn't want player to be confused, because as you know, like people attach sounds to the action, right? So once it's being used in one area, we try not to repeat its usage in another area.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yes, and also I think what was the other thing? Oh yeah, the original design was kick snare, which like it wouldn't. I don't think it would have worked. Yeah,
because it was used for something else.
Yeah, it was all used for something else. Yeah.
So some good insights in the comments. I hope people are following along and participating in that. One question coming out of it, how was that discussion with the developers? But the balance between synchronicity and player agency. How was that discussion negotiated? And how did you arrive at that destination?
I think Haas was very clear about the direction of the game. In fact, he was all for focusing on the game being an action game first and foremost. So there wasn't much argument there. I think what was challenging was really overall in the game process, communicating rhythm concepts to a lot of the rest of the team who are not so musically inclined. So I think when it comes to these kind of games, it's very important to have very clear direction. What exactly is your game aiming to be?
Yeah, great. Cool, good answer, and thanks for the question, Maze. In the chat room, glad to see folks exchanging. See Alex jumping in with some answers here too. So again, great to have folks following along during this live stream. So okay, combo system in the bag. Moving on to some more sound design treats from No Straight Roads.
Okay, so the next one, I think, could we play the video on the audition and opening and just pay attention to the music, how it transitions from 2D to 3D?
Yep.
We're bringing back rock. This long-forgotten art used to be the backbone of Vinyl City, So be ready to listen to our super tasty riffs of...
Okay, cut. That's a good take.
Oh, that's it?
Yes, we got what we needed. Now please make your way to the audition stage. Just follow the arrows. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. That was mighty sweet. Next! How could you forget your line, Zuke? It's bunka, then junka, then bam in your faces.
I can't help it. As soon as the camera started rolling, I was just, wow, the lights were just so intense, man.
Huh.
Oh, sorry about the crates. We haven't had time to move.
Great. What a great concept. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Okay, I think basically it's two events firing off at the same time in Wise. And then we have a state change between 2D and 3D. Yeah, it's a simple one. I think it wouldn't work for Dialog. No, we didn't really use it for Dialog at all. But yes, so basically it's just basically normal and 3D. And then Spatializer state active and inactive. Yes, yeah. So in the active state, there's some mix changes as well to make it feel like it's a radio in the background in the level.
Yeah.
Wait. Yeah, okay. Just like...
Simple, effective, brings people into the experience. Cool trick.
I think this was one of the more, like... We did this quite early.
Yeah, because this is the opening scene, and basically, like, we didn't want the music to just cut off, but then also, I think we wanted to make it sound like it's coming from a radio, even though the scene doesn't actually have a radio. That's the funniest part. We were hoping somebody will be inspired enough to model a radio and put it in the scene, but it didn't happen. So actually the blueprint is just hanging in midair somewhere at the back, but it's okay because it's supposed to sell the idea of a radio being there, even though there physically isn't a radio.
Yeah, I think it sells the atmosphere. It still kind of sells the atmosphere quite well, so it's still okay.
Yeah.
And just simple EQ in Wise, where you're doing some content changes between already processed stems, or
I think it could just be a wet reverb bus. I don't remember anymore.
Wait, I think it was a baked in. It was a because this radio effect, we really wanted it. It couldn't really be achieved in Wise itself, so we did it in the DAW first, and then we put it in. This is why we used it as 2 layers.
Got it. So swapping layers based on that state change that you highlighted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Simple and effective. These are what make great games sound great, right?
Yeah. Nothing fancy. It's really just straightforward. It's changing.
Yeah. Another.
You gotta talk about the. You want to talk about the whole build up to the crowd thing, or are you doing that later?
I think that one we didn't record a video.
Oh, we didn't record a video. Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I can talk about crowds because why not? Yeah, so the next one is about crowds. Another simple example of crowd DJing. Let's see. Yeah, this is the cheering one. And this is the booing one. Yes. So yeah, so sad. Okay, so anyway, this part is really, really fun because we got to use the whole RTPC feature in the sequencer in UE, and it's really, really great. Like, I love how like the AK audio RTPC features, like, because I can visually see and do the automation of my crowds, and it felt great because I felt like I was a crowd DJ.
So you fire off the crowd sounds at the beginning of the matinee or of the sequence, and then you just drive the cheers or the boos using that drawn-in RTPC as it plays through.
Yep.
And
exactly.
And even outside of the audio team, you know, you could present that. You could kick off those events at the start of any sequence that had people, and you could say, hey, drive the crowd reaction using these 2 curves. These are tools that they're used to using. And again, I love the way that brings a level of accessibility from Wise into the tools that the rest of the team are using over in Unreal as well.
It definitely makes this visual format makes it very accessible for anyone to use.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Nice work.
Yeah. Do you want to play the video?
I shall.
With the effect?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yes! We did it! We finished the course! Thank you! Oh, there's so much electric in this room!
How do you think it went?
Brilliantly!
Thought you'd say that. Fellas, what do you think?
Well, 1 out of 6 ain't too bad. Hey, now wait a minute there. Can you just listen to... Zuke, say something!
Ta-da! Okay.
This is...
Hold on. I'll be blunt. You came here for us to judge you.
Yep.
It's pretty rad.
Yeah, I love it. Like, I think it was one of my more enjoyable RTPCs.
Yeah. One of my more enjoyable RTPCs.
Crowd reaction engine.
I need a T-shirt that says, "This is one of my more enjoyable RTPCs." Beautiful.
Crowd director.
I mean, everybody has their favorite RTPC, right? And any project that
Right?
they work in.
Right? Yeah. I've got him. I don't like to talk about them publicly, but I got them. They're good.
Yes.
Amount of coffee, actually. That's my favorite RTPC. Coffee amount.
Yeah.
Sleep deprivation amount.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one we're going to talk about is the timer countdown for the CEO. So let me just show that briefly in why. So, okay, CEO music is a little bit special because at the end, if you don't destroy the crown of the clock in time, the whole thing will rewind and repeat the phase. So that is done in the transition. So maybe we can show the video first.
Yep. Here we go.
With the rapid expansion of the city comes high demand for energy. NSR has gathered the best EDM artists in the world. The city is so bright now.
Leave this to me.
Is so bright now. You two are getting on my nerves.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's a lot of stuff going on, and it was like really a lot of stuff. So the first part when the player has failed to defeat the crown, so it plays this riser and then it rewinds back to the previous phase. But the other part is when you have successfully killed the crown in time and it transitions to the next cutscene. So that's the context. So if we head over to Wise, boy, that's the amount of layers. I mean, okay, so the good thing is transitions are normally they don't have the three different genres.
Right.
The need to have them separated, so it's fine. But in this case, I wanted to achieve the slowdown effect. So that stuff I had to do some music editing on my end. And yay, I actually used nested events in the music hierarchy. I'm
Awesome.
so happy. Yeah. And I was so excited when the feature came, honestly. Like it saved our ass quite a number of times. So
Oh,
yeah.
Trust
so all
me.
these are
Trust me. That
events.
was a long time coming, and a lot of people were super stoked for it. Right? It's like the ability
Yeah.
to play an event from the timeline in the music system. Bam! Thank goodness
Yeah,
that came
absolutely.
and arrived on time for you.
Yeah, totally. So let me
It
just
was
play.
like midway through this project
Oh.
that it came in. It was just like, oh yes.
Yes, we have it. Okay, let's put it active. So this state is the one that's making sure that the timer sounds play and the riser play. So if it is active, it will play on the assumption that you haven't destroyed the crown. Once you destroy the crown, all these timer layers are muted. So let's just play through it. Yeah, so there's quite a bit going on. So these events, right? All they're doing is they're simply adjusting the RTPC of the delay of this clock right here.
Awesome. Yeah.
This tick is to represent the giant clock hands. Yeah.
So when you say that those events, those events on the timeline, when it comes across those, it's setting an RTPC for the pitch of the clock ticking? The music playback rate?
I think is it
it's the delay.
The delay.
Yeah, this delay.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. I
Cool,
think it's
cool.
the delay time.
I see.
Oh, the feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yep.
great. Got it.
Yep.
Okay, so updating that RTPC from the music timeline and then at some point probably resetting it.
That's right.
Got it.
It resets it at the end right here.
I see.
At the CEO clock slow. Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's like we love using this, and also we have to do all these individual slowdowns like for all 3 genres. Let me see.
Can you change it from there?
Wait. Oh yeah, so this part, when I change it to inactive, then you don't hear any of that timer stuff in. And there's no slowdown effect. Like it just plays the stem as is.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, I basically like cut off the tail here and move the tail here for all their individual effects. And then I have this really cool sounding riser that I really want to keep. Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Risers for the win. Okay, cool. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
What a great and effective trick.
Actually, if
Yeah.
you think about I don't know if you noticed that the timer is the ticking sound is a 3D effect in the
yeah, this one.
yes it follows that little thing that's revolving around the arena. So like
Yeah,
I think
so-
the phase is quite fast. So
Mm.
locating the object quickly was also quite important.
Correct. So this one, I think everything else is kind of non-positional except this thing. So this one is the ticking sound, which follows the crown that's rotating. As Alex mentioned, because some people will get lost because the crown sometimes go off screen. So I think we need that positional information on the sound to denote where exactly the crown is.
And
That's the difference between this layer and this layer.
yeah, so that sound kind of leading the player to interact with that crown. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sound leading the way.
Yep, exactly. So now, now let's talk about dialogue. Dialogue. Oh yeah, let's see. Here is our super fancy dialogue pipeline. I'm so proud of this because it's all about flowcharts and spreadsheets, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Game audio in a
so the
nutshell,
dialogue,
yeah.
right? Yeah, that's right. So for the NSR dialogue, right, it was pretty challenging because we had to deal with 4 different languages. We have English, Japanese, French, and Spanish. And not all of them came in at the same time. And some of them, because of difference in time zone or communication, some of them, they came in at different lengths. And so we had to work quite hard to sort of truncate stuff. But with Wise markers, it really, really helped us. So let me go through this first. Okay, so we have the raw recording, and then the creative director will choose, and depends on whichever localized language it is, then VA will choose as well. EDA will choose for French and Spanish. So once it's chosen, they will mark the chosen lines, and they will use the markers within Audition to indicate subtitle breaks. So for us, we rely on the Wise markers a lot for the subtitle breaks. So they do it in Audition. Those markers are nicely imported into Wise, and even within Wise, we can shift those markers around, which I'll show later. So once those markers are chosen, then it is sent over to Daim, who will splice the dialogue in a single audio file. This is for the cutscene folks. So the people animating the cutscenes will have the entire single audio file with the timings and everything tied to it. And then we will also clean up the individual lines and then put it into Wise, import to UE, create the sound banks, and later on, we either do it in the UE sequencer or we do it in the blueprints, depending on whether they are action lines or non-in-game versus in-game or cutscene. So let me show you the magic of the markers. Let's see.
It is magic.
Yeah. So for the markers, all right. Let's pick a line. Super duper long one. Let's look at that. Yep. So these are how we do our markers, right? So when we import the files from as a WAV file, but it's exported by Audition. Audition also exports all these markers, and the markers are named with a very specific name in order for the system to recognize it as a subtitle break. So very long line. Moment. Oh no. Is it not playing? Okay. Oh, something's in solo.
Zuke, this discrimination is so obvious. NSR can't do something like this. Who do these people think they are?
So, like, obviously the line is really, really long. I think it makes more sense to use these markers for subtitle breaks instead of splitting them out into smaller chunks, because sometimes they are very particular about the timing and the duration of the pauses in between each line to convey a certain mood. So we want to maintain this full length thing. And also for different languages, there are different marker placements as well. So if you look at French versus English versus Japanese and Spanish, all these keep the subtitle breaks quite uniform. So
And
that's really, really cool.
And walk me through it like on the engineering side. So you have a line of dialogue, it plays, it reaches the marker, and the marker tells the subtitle to wait and stay on the screen for a while longer. Is that what you're saying?
I think it's do you explain callback? Sorry, I had to answer.
Oh, sorry, I didn't explain callbacks.
Okay, yeah. So basically, each marker triggers a callback in UE, and then basically, whenever it reads the name of the callback. So we all use the same names, but whenever it triggers the VO event, it pulls up a list of the subtitles that go with this event.
Got it.
So whenever it hits this marker, it will it's like pressing next slide on the.
Got it.
On the presentation, so it just goes to the next line.
And so it plays the event with this dialogue in it. It associates that dialogue event with the subtitling, and then at the marker points, the subtitling system gets the callback from it that says, next line.
Next line. You need to check the name of the callback. So it's to make sure that we don't make any mistakes, any additional markers. If I'm not wrong, at the start of each event, it has a name, right? So it's the marker name is the event name or the file name.
Yeah,
I think it's the file name.
Yep.
So the callback calls the file name, and then it searches for the subtitle based on that file name and the language, etc. It's like, so it starts off with the file name, then all this double bracket things. Yes.
Cool. Thanks for breaking that down for folks who maybe have never implemented dialogue with subtitles, and this is definitely one effective way where you're leveraging the full pipeline, right, from the recording session, the picks, as you mentioned, or picking the right take, the compilation of that into a file, and then tying that together with the subtitling system to make sure that it's accurate. Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah. And an example of that is actually DK West. So in the game, there's two tracks that actually have localized lyrics. One is DK West, which is a rap boss, and of course there's Sayu. So DK West raps in both English and French, and Sayu sings in both English and Japanese. So DK West, because it's a rap, it's very important to have subtitles. So Damien, could you play the video of DK West?
Totally.
When you see Zuke in school, he was constantly out of fuel. All he does is follow me. Like a stinking fly, he can't help it, cuz I'm the trailblazing guy. Zuke knows nothing like a baby.
Awesome.
Yep. Yep. So if you if you notice the subtitle breaks, it's exactly where the markers are here.
When you see Zuke in school, he was constantly out of fuel. All he does is follow me. Like a stinking fly, he can't help it.
Oh, wait, Damien, I think you're on the wrong. I think it's on the video screen.
Putting that back. Sorry. Yes. Ta-da.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
Ta-da.
There you go. Ta-da! Okay.
When you see Zuke in school, he was constantly out of fuel. All he does is follow me. Like a stinking fly.
Okay, yes. So, yeah, for those that need context, right, DK West is Zuke's brother and they have a strained relationship. So this whole rap battle is about them, like, throwing stuff at each other in words.
Like most siblings, yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Stinking fly, I'm going to use that one, I think.
It's a great one.
Nice.
Yes. So, yeah, this is the English one. And let me just switch to the French one. So French also has its own markers. Let's see. There you go. And because French was recorded at a different time, right, it had a much longer silence in front. So we had to account for that silence even for the markers.
Fallait voir Zuke à la school, toujours avec ce qu'il embrouille, comme un suiveur marcher dans mes pas. Follow les gars quand on le suivait pas. Zuke est inutile comme un nouveau-né.
Yeah, so that was fun. And that was the reason why we had to use the music macro system to actually put these individual rap lines in place. Like we can't really put it in the music hierarchy system because the music hierarchy system, we've tried it and it doesn't read the markers well in that sense, like using the nested events. Yeah. So, but we did it for Sayu because Sayu doesn't require lyrics. Like her voice is purely aesthetic. So you can play the Sayu video.
Great. Here it goes.
May? What's happening to me?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So if you take a look at Wise now, like let me try to
Nice.
it's actually this is actually a event within Wise that fires off the dialog file. So the dialog file is able to have the localization system in place. So if I play it in English, so all I have to do is change it to Japanese.
Events in interactive music hierarchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. Love it.
Folks tuned
Came
in.
at a great time.
If you didn't know before, you know now. That's the power right there. Bam.
Voice events.
Nice.
So empowering.
It's awesome. Nice work.
So and then that's that for most of the lyric stuff. I wanted to talk about the rest of the languages. So okay, there were some difficulties we faced that hint. I don't know whether the feature exists already, but okay, let me see. Yeah, so for example, right, because sometimes with localized files, we receive different number of files, like let's say for action lines and stuff, and some of them are a lot less than other languages, and we want to have a quick way to not have them included per language.
Right.
So I'm wondering if there's a way to mass select them, because as of now, like I've been doing the specific inclusion for the different languages one by one.
There might be a way through the list view, but I don't know off the top of my head. Let's circle back on that one. Anyone out there in Chatland got an answer for that one?
What are you looking for again?
Like a quick way to include or exclude individual localized languages.
Again,
because you can do that.
I'm thinking either list view or query editor. You could run a query for dialog files, and there might be a way to get inclusion per language there. That would be a suggestion. Sometimes in the query editor you can get more. Otherwise, list view. What happens when you select that group of sound voices and show it in the list view? Maybe not the individual sources, but the actual those folks.
Okay, show in list view.
And then anything with the gear icon at the top that might allow you to configure the columns and what it shows. And you might be able to use the magnifying glass on the top row to search for inclusion maybe, or does that
it's all the way here.
Does that give you access? No, just the object itself, not the sources within it. Yeah, my next step would be to go to the query editor and try to do something fancy there, but let's not go there.
Yep. That's KIV it.
Yes. Known shippable. Exactly. Cool. But I think that's a valuable takeaway, right? Is that there's sometimes when you might want to remove those versions.
Exactly. So, okay. Let's move on to, voice effects.
Now, wait a second, though. Go back there. Go back. I had an epiphany just for a second. So expand that voice again. And is the inclusion tied to the language that you're in? So
some of them are,
yeah, I guess it's that lower level inclusion of the source. Okay, KIV.
Awesome.
For our listeners at home, will you define that acronym?
Keep in view.
Keep in view.
Excellent.
Yes.
We are an industry of acronyms. It's always good to unpack those for folks who might be watching at home.
Definitely.
Cool. Thanks, Gwen.
Okay, Alex, you want to talk about the filtering, all the different effects?
For which character? Mother?
Voices.
Okay.
We can go one by one. We can go for Kpop.
Kpop. Okay, let me just bring it up. Okay, Kpop, right? Most of the voices were pre-baked sound effects. So we're gonna separate them out into like there's pre-baked, there's in-game render, and then there's the live one. So I think for the 1010, right, we definitely had to use pre-baked because all of them are auto-tuned to a specific. I think Jeremy did all the voice auto-tuning, so you have to do them across every language, every possible, like everything that uses the auto-tune, they have to like.
Let's check it out.
Let's just hear one.
Hold position, check, fire!
Yes.
Fire! 1, 2, 3, 4, and jam! Tirez à 1 et 2 et croisez-vous!
Yes, so each voice. So it's like I think like there's a lot of time dedicated to this because like I think he had to layer multiple the voices as well. It's not if I'm not wrong, it's pretty much the same voice, right? Like then just lay it over.
The same voice actor, yeah,
Yeah,
and
the
lay it
same voice.
over.
Yes, so yeah. Quite a
Yeah,
bit
and all of
work to
them.
get it done.
Haters gonna hate. When we show up, we get the sexy mission done. You better put on your tactical thermal goggles because we're gonna bring the heat!
So all these had to be baked in. They had to be processed before putting in. I think at the most we just put on a reverb. But I think later on, when the robots explode and NeonJ himself falls down, they fizz out a bit. That's where I slapped on a glitch effect. This is before he falls down.
Abandoned ship! Abandoned ship! You got me, soldier. You got me good. Go ahead. Finish the job.
Yeah, so I put on a little, very, very gentle glitch effect over it, which is it's a guitar distortion effect over his voice, and also when the Tennant members, their heads explode, they sound weird. So this is their normal voice.
Electrify it!
This is the glitched out one. So it's horrifying, but in the game they look horrifying. So yeah.
Nice. And again, simple, effective, just a distortion up there on the bus for the for the voice.
Yep.
Cool.
And then for Mother, let's see.
Okay. Mother, I think Gwen did pre-baked pre-voice sound effects, so like wood creaking and all that. So most of those will play before the voice. But it's also some of the breathing are synced to the way she talks.
So let's find the event. It's right here.
Enough! You are ruining her performance!
And for folks who haven't played it, Mother is this giant tree creature. Wooden. It's a door. She's a cabinet. It's a.
It's a lot of. What is she?
She's a giant tree. Yeah,
Okay.
she's like a giant tree.
Okay, got it. Okay, and that totally makes sense, right? You want to have that gestural wooden creaking as part of her dialogue, and you've lined that all up in an event with multiple event actions. You're even setting some states and game parameters.
Yep, all in the event itself.
How could you? How could you do this to her?
Yeah, so a lot of this was done in Wwise. I mean, the tree stuff itself, it had to be done as a separate layer for obvious reasons, but I think the rest, like the voice effects and the reverb, all this can be done in Wwise. Easy peasy.
Nice.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is fun. It's a great effect at the end of the day, the layering of the different elements and pushing and pulling their properties, RTPCs and states during the course of that event. It's effective. It's fun to see.
Great.
Yeah.
Was that rendered or was that this was live? This is a live updated one. It's not pre-rendered, right?
Which one?
For your mother and child one.
The effects is a separate layer completely.
Separate layer completely, right?
Yeah, so that means all the VO effects, let me zoom in, all the VO effects here have no dialogue at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whereas all the dialogue is here, so we stacked it up.
Cool.
Yeah, because we wanted to make it usable across localized languages as well.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, Sayu glitching, voice FX.
I think Sayu glitching was just basically a phase change, then RTPC goes up to change her voice as she glitches out into a different. I think it's all triggered. I think it's triggered in game through RTPC. I'm not sure if I put it in events.
Leave! Wait, I've made up our
Here you go.
Yeah, there.
I've made up our minds. Get out. You guys are no longer welcome here.
Yep, because in the game she does glitch out. So these are some of the voice effects.
Awesome.
And then, another simple solution. So a lot
I
of
think
our
I think when I did it for DJ Subatomic Supernova, I also just split them up to phases because he changes size every phase. So I was just like, why I don't have to really do anything live. I can just put everything on a different like phase actor mixer and then run with it.
Nice.
Yeah.
There, yeah.
So I think for Eve, you also did a time modulator thing, right? This one.
You are one of them, Zuke. You fear me.
Ah, yes.
As you should, for no one escapes the diva's realm.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, this was time modulated, so only the second half was a horror.
Right.
Yeah. What was it? Was it? There you go. So if you
harmonizer,
find it,
yeah.
he did this.
Yes.
Yeah, he did the
This is-
harmonizer here. This was the modulator, particularly for this.
My favorite
It's
tool.
The time modulator.
Time modulator and harmonizer, just like okay, minus 100 gradually is let's go.
But I think all of these very simple illustrations, parametric driven effects, just the sum of all of these simple techniques, right? The result is just a cohesive, good feeling experience that's dynamic, that reacts, and that is, in this case, sunk to the gameplay just inherently.
Yep. Yep.
But it all adds up. It's really cool to see the bits and pieces of it.
Oh man, and I'm looking at the time now. I'm so sorry. Like we're
We're
almost.
almost
We're rolling.
Yeah, we overran.
We rolling.
By like a lot.
It's still rolling. So.
That's okay. You got the whole day
Yeah.
ahead of you, and I got nothing but sleep planned tonight. So let's just roll. Let's keep going.
Okay. So finally,
Forget it.
Tatiana's voice.
Rock is no longer relevant. Rock is no longer relevant. The Ghoulings once commanded this city with their music.
So again, she also has like a harmonizer sort of thing. That's because she transforms. But okay, I wanted to explain the reason why sometimes we use RTPCs and sometimes we bake it in, right?
Yeah.
It's because the RTPCs, right? We want it to affect the action voices as well. Like we want this global RTPC to absolutely affect this normal hits and
Gah!
stuff.
No! Gah!
Yeah, so that's why we want it because RTPC is quite useful for a lot of global stuff. So and if we bake in, we probably have to bake in for all 4 languages. So
Right.
there's something to be conscious about. Yeah.
Well, and it saves you it defers the design choice until runtime, and then you can make that choice depending on the situation appropriately, right?
Exactly. So, okay, so I promise this will be the final one about dialogue, and after that we just have one more thing and we're done. So, yeah, for K-pop robots, right? Just now we showed you the commands, the singing ones that Jeremy did.
Mark target. Loading shoe.
So initially, I think the voice talents didn't have the music to reference then, so they just said the line. So Jeremy had to really match the lyrics to the BPM as well as auto-tune it. So if you can play the video, we can see the final result
There you
of
go.
that.
Fire 1, 2, 3, 4, and jam. Mark target. Loading shoe. Fire 1, 2, 3, 4, and jam. Mark target. Loading shoe. Fire 1, 2, 3, 4, and jam. Cruise to the sky. Fire 1, 2, 3, 4, and jam. Cruise to the sky.
So great.
Yep. So that's the magic of the auto-tune part, and yeah, is one of my favorite tracks of the game as well. So in here, this was how it was done in UE, was that we had each of the commands, right, tied to a particular action that they were doing. So thank goodness they already had this switch here that defines, okay, pose, dash, jump, and then we just tied them accordingly to the various pose events, right? And also we had this thing for the Kpop voice distortion just in case we needed it. Just put it here.
Right.
So yeah. Yep.
Yeah. It's a beautiful implementation of that, and like serious Sayonara Wild Hearts vibes off that. Like just music based. It's so sunk. It's moving so fast. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So okay, finally. Sorry for taking up so much of your time. I know it's late there. It's like midnight plus, my goodness. Okay. But optimization, a few words about optimization, like some of the difficulties we faced, right, was because the dev kits were with different porting companies. So we weren't able to test the sound in our vicinity, in our studio, and furthermore, we were all working remotely. So I think as we move further into working remotely, we need to take note of how do we deal with optimization for different platforms, and we need to be in very, very close communication with the porting companies, especially when it comes to reading the profiler in terms of memory and CPU allocation. So that's some of the things we've learned.
If you don't have the dev kit locally, how can you profile across a network through VPN? What's the workflow like? What's the turnaround? So I can see where that would be challenging.
Yep. So also, let me see. Thankfully, in our studio, we do have a 5.1 and 7.1 setup, but it's only at one physical location. So let's say if I'm implementing at home, I still need to go down to monitor the mix and liaise with Jeremy because it's Jeremy's house as well. So yeah, we have to test on multiple platforms and multiple ways of having the audio play, right? And I know this is part of Wise 251, but my goodness, the integrity report.
Yeah.
My best friend.
Your second favorite RTPC?
Yeah. The integrity report is really, really good at like one of the maybe the near final stage of optimization, and then you can see where you have missed out because you thought that you had everything, when actually the integrity report shows you know nothing. Yeah, so I mean, integrity report is great. It shows you, where are the missing files? Let me recommend you to bake this effect in or render this effect because there's no RTPC, or if you wrongly rendered an effect and they removed it for you because there's an RTPC.
Yeah.
So or if you have switches that are unassigned. So really, really useful stuff. My best friend integrity report. So I think that's my closing line for today.
That's fantastic.
Alex, do you want to add anything?
I was replying something in the chat.
I think.
Okay, yeah. I think the major issue was that when we were planning to do all the dev kit testing, countries just started doing their lockdowns. So yeah, we couldn't leave. We couldn't get down to testing anything outside at where the dev kits were.
Yeah, totally. And then question from the chat: were your porting companies, the folks who help port No Straight Roads, were they involved in the Wise optimizations, or were you handing them off builds for the different platforms?
Yeah, I was handing them off different builds and sound banks for the platform. So we would just talk to them. They will take screenshots or even stream the Wise profiler happening over there, and then I would just take a look at it and I will do the custom optimization for each platform. That sense.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. What a journey with
we ran over time.
Roads on this journey, not to mention this game. It really is a clear example of, having that clear vision from a game design perspective, a music-based game, everything locked into that clock on the game engine side, or many things locked to that clock. And then, as you've shown, like all the tiny little things that as a sound person you're tuned into as part of the experience that you can help contribute, both from an advocacy perspective, like, hey, team, this is going to be awesome, right? And you're all collaborating and working together. But then also, I think as we've seen and as I've experienced, like, these tools are in the toolbox. If you hadn't had some of the things that Wwise provides, you might not have been able to pull off such an effortless callback system for your dialogue, or the cool clock slowdown using events on the timeline, or just any number of cool tricks that you pulled off because of the game and what it needed, and because you already had a lot of those tools in conjunction with the game engine to be able to pull that stuff off. And it's really cool to see the culmination of that in all of those gameplay captures. It really speaks loudly to your ability, to your vision, and to the collaboration that you had with the team across all of the composers, the folks at Imba, as well as at the developer. So it was a pleasure to take a walk down those no straight roads with you today. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Damien, and for the rest of the AK team for this opportunity. I think it was really great. Love Wwise, like I said, makes me feel at home. I still feel at home and I don't want to leave. So
yeah, totally. Well, I can tell that you all have had some fun with that. Look forward to hearing more about what everyone is cooking in the future. I hope you're staying safe over there, and looking forward to a little bit of downshifting during the holiday seasons, maybe.
Maybe.
Okay. Well, I hope that for you. I hope you find your calm during this raging storm of humanity that we all find ourselves in. And again, I would say thank you to you and the team for your preparation and for delivering something that I think is truly special for folks working in game audio. So thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Wwise Up on Air. We do this. Please tune in. Get subscribed on across our different channels. And circle back to the beginning. There were some cool announcements about stuff that's coming up soon as part of what we're building in the future. We want to see you at the Wwise tour in a couple weeks when we talk to MiHoYo about Genshin Impact and Sucker Punch about Ghost of Tsushima. Like, it's going to be way fun. So, cool. Take care.
Can't wait.
See you then. And thanks to everyone in the chat for showing up and engaging and supporting the cool conversation here with your questions. So take care, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.